Okay, so once you have your primary colors painted with the tints and the shades, then you're ready for secondaries. So I have my red, yellow, and blue done. Those are my primaries. And when I mix two primaries together, I get a secondary color, which would be orange. Okay, our secondary colors are orange, violet, and green. So if you're ever looking at a color, say if I look at orange, okay, well, how do I mix orange? I look at the two primaries on either side. Okay, so when you're mixing orange, you want to start off with a pile of yellow. Yellow gets taken over just like white. It's really weak. And so I want to make a bigger pile of yellow. That way I can mix enough orange to make the hue and then have enough left over to make the shade and the tint so I don't have to remix it. Then I'm going to wash off my brush and dry it off. Okay, now I'm just going to add a little bit of red at a time. So I'm going to put the pile to the side so I don't have to add it all at once. Then I'm going to mix it into the yellow. Okay, if you're not sure if this is the right orange, you can compare it to your color wheel. So you guys will each have one color wheel per table. I want to make sure it's mixed really well before I compare it here. Okay, so I'm going to put it here. I think that's a good orange right there. If it looked too yellow, I would add a little bit more red. If it looked too red, I'd add a little bit more yellow. Okay, so I can use this for my orange. So again, I'm going to use the tip of my paintbrush. I'll smooth it out a little bit. Okay, now I need to use the remainder of my pile to make my tints and shades. So just a reminder, when you're making your tints, you start with a pile of white. And you add just a little bit of the color. So I'm just going to scrape a little bit off the side and make a tint. So it kind of looks like a peach color, what you're familiar with. And I'd put my tint right here. Okay, now the shade can't touch that area where I just put white in there, so I need to grab a little tiny bit of black. Got way too much, so I'm going to wipe off my brush on my paper. Then I can add it right to this pile right here. Now what you're going to notice is when you make shades of some of the colors, it really changes it. So this one looks more brown, a shade of orange looks brown, and then the shade of yellow kind of looks like a poopy green color, and that's fine. Ooh, got way too much black on that. I'm going to wash out my brush and dry it off. It was way too full of black paint. That way when I'm mixing, I won't be adding any more black. Okay, so then I paint the shade here for orange. Now if you run out of paint, if you've painted the hue, but you ran out of enough to make your tint and your shade, you're going to have to remix that hue. It's nearly impossible to mix it exactly the same, but you just try to get as close as you can. Okay, and now you're ready to paint your other two secondary colors, which are green and violet. And when you finish those, you'll be ready for the intermediates, and that will be on a separate video. I'm going to show you guys how to put your paint away. So what you'll do is you have a piece of a trash bag right here. Okay, I used to have plastic lids for these, and they don't work. They end up just letting the air in and it dries out the paint. So this has worked out pretty well. You're going to open this up. It'll look like a long strip. You're going to just lay it on top of your tray and wrap it around. This is why you don't want to over pour your paint. If you pour too much in there, it's going to touch the plastic and it's going to make a big mess. And then you would put you or your partner in the middle here. So I'm going to put Mrs. English, and then we store them over on the white shelves. Okay.